It's 2008. As a Pokemon fan, you're glued to Cerebi, waiting for the latest news from Japan about Pokemon Platinum version. Rotom is getting new forms, and they're some of the coolest things you've ever seen. You think to yourself, man, I hope this event comes to America. You keep scrolling down, you want to know everything about the games. And there it is. Rotom stats. They're insane. Who cares about 50 hit points? 107 defense. 107 special defense. 105 special attack, and it's one of the fastest, hardest hitting, bulkiest tanks you've ever seen. You can't imagine a crazier Pokemon. Skip ahead 14 years. Goldengo. Tankier. Hits way harder. Same speed. Ability makes it immune to status moves. What the fuck? If you go on the Battle Stadium, this abomination is everywhere, and I sincerely hope, if you're watching this video in 2023 and beyond, that this Pokemon is not at the 90% presence we are seeing at launch. Everyone is running it, which is why we're going to be breaking it down. This is how to use Gholdengo. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to leave a like, share with your friends, comment your thoughts down below. I haven't used it, but I've had it used against me enough to where I can pick up what this groovy dude is putting down. And I've seen so many wacky movesets, so much nonsense from this thing that really shows the versatility of having an ability that makes you immune to status moves. Now, it doesn't make you immune to getting statused, but that comes into like the secondary effects because, okay, status moves. That means this thing can't get its stats lowered by a status move. It also can't get statused directly by status moves. You just can't do anything to it. And as a tanky Pokemon in the vein of Rotom, but also more efficient and way more dangerous, yeah, that turns out that's why it's everywhere. You give Gholdengo one turn against setup, one turn on like a switch prediction, or one turn against a tank that can't bully it out because, oh, Gholdengo's just faster, Gholdengo wins. So what makes this Pokemon work to an outrageous degree? Well, substitute. If the opponent tries to use status, or if you switch into a tank while they're trying to set up, you can just set up a substitute. And then when they try to break it, you nasty plot. And now you're just going to be faster than every tank in the game while rocking outrageous amounts of damage. 133, doubled into Stab Shadow Ball. Stab Ghost. It hits a lot of things. Or, if you really need to nuke something out, 120 base power with Stab at a +2. So what if you -1 special attack, you can just swing it again and KO the next Pokemon, or set up your sub, or just do whatever, or just say, hey, I'm sweeping right now. Leftovers behind the sub just kind of makes it to where you can take a little bit of chip damage, you can sub a little bit. Tanks aren't going to do anything to you, and as a Ghost-type Pokemon, there's no fear from the body press. So you're also absorbing Fighting, which some Pokemon tech, and then, like, there goes a weakness on your Steel. This nonsense has effectively become the great filter of the Generation 9 meta. Anything slower than Gholdengo is at risk of getting dumpstered by Gholdengo, and then that puts your whole team behind, and then you also have to worry about other synergies and combinations. I've seen so much weird stuff to make the Gholdengo work. Breloom, also an incredibly common Pokemon. Right now, there's only about 12 different Pokemon being used in, like, all of the Battle Stadium. Like, people are getting so techie with it. I saw a Breloom try to fake tears to lower the special, to then Gholdengo just break down a tank even harder. It's ugly out there. So that's kind of the name of the game. Gholdengo just invalidates everything under 84 speed uninvested with some speed creep, and who knows how high this creep is going to go because of other Gholdengo metas and also people maybe trying to outspeed bulky Rotoms or something. It could cut down and it can get ugly as we start even like crawling into other tiers on the Gholdengo, because you still got some good bulk, but you want to preserve as much health as possible, and then things just get weird. However, if you just sit at the 20, pretty standard to, like, you know, a little bit of tech, that's some creep, and that's creep in the creep, well, this is actually going to be perfect, because 192 is divisible by 16, so your leftovers are getting full efficiency. Some people care about that. Sometimes it matters. Now, there's also weirdness about odd number hit point sub interactions, so I mean, like, yeah, Gholdengo just gets weird. Now, one might think that this Steel and such a slow Pokemon makes it a liability. Also, the Ghost. You can still eat super effective Ghost hits, you eat super effective Dark hits. You know, some sweepers out there, they can chunk out or at least take out the Gholdengo, and if Gholdengo doesn't get ramping on the nasty plot, maybe it doesn't have enough damage. The problem is, sweeping is kind of a liability right now because of all the, like, power creep bulk and other weird Pokemon in the game. So, like, Garchomp is a liability. If it gets set up against, then game's over right there. So, Gholdengo doesn't really have a lot of threats in the meta, and I don't know where the meta shifts where it's like, oh, everyone's running hyper offense again, but then Gholdengo now gets invalidated, but then tanks come back in, and then Gholdengo's right back. So that we don't have like a straightforward meta and anti-meta. The meta is just a square. You know, it's just like, it just keeps going in a square. Time is a flat circle kind of thing. There's never a point when Gholdengo is out of the meta, because there's never an anti-meta strong enough to beat out the Gholdengo, or some weirdness like that. I don't know. We're going to see how it goes over the next like couple weeks or months or something. But the versatility of Gholdengo also makes it disgusting. Choice specs make it rain. That's just going to nuke out Pokemon, but it can also run Trick. And then you're thinking, why are you running 2 status moves on the choice specs? That's because you trick a tank. Well, they're just useless now. Nasty plot. Hey, you're sweeping on a super tanky Pokemon again. I've seen this. I've seen this several times. It just works. This Pokemon just does the weirdest dumb things. Or it can just camp out a Specs Shadow Ball and do more damage to the opponent than it's receiving and just snowball the game that way. There's also like a lot of weird tech. This isn't a moveset. These are just like things that can happen. I've seen like weird combos into Terra Blast. There was an air balloon flying Gholdengo. The Pokemon is so nonsense, you can get away with that. And the dude was so like schizophrenic about Fissure and Earthquake, it didn't matter because the Pokemon still succeeds. You can also run Weakness Policy on the Gholdengo, so you can like switch it into a weak fire hit from some kind of tanky Pokemon. But again, Gholdengo just comes in, tanks that, gets its +2, and now if it's faster than the tank Pokemon, it just one-shots it. And whatever else comes in might not be able to finish off the Gholdengo. A Gholdengo just finds a way to deal. Or, it's like, you know, you sack the Gholdengo, it removed the tank, and now your sweeping Pokemon aren't a liability, and they just run over whatever's left in the 2v2. And there's just like this weird problem between like Gholdengo and Breloom being a strong core in the game, where it's like, okay, if you don't have a Gholdengo, or if you don't have a Garganasalt, but even then, like, Garganasalt can't stand up to the Breloom because of the grass typing. So, like, okay, your Garganasalt doesn't go to sleep, everything else can get spored by the Breloom. Focus Sash, I mean, we've seen this for over a decade, that, like, chewing through the Focus Sash and having to, like, sack a Pokemon to get the spore through the Focus Sash is really hard, but Bullet Seed just wrecks on that Technician. And now that we're in that bulkier meta, you know, this is where Breloom thrives. Breloom outspeeds everything and catches all those stats, and then has the ability to just run damage as one of the faster Pokemon in the game somehow. Now, I'm not saying every Breloom is running fake tiers. What I'm saying is Gholdengo is up to so much nonsense, and the team compositions around it are so weird, I've just seen some shit. So Breloom can like extra bust down anything that's like problematic with the Gholdengo, or just spores a vulnerable Pokemon. Gholdengo comes in, you're trading switches, it sets up the sub, and now Gholdengo's about to remove several Pokemon from the game. You're still gonna have to deal with Breloom at some point, and there's a sweeper in the back. It's just bad. There's also teams that are running Gholdengo with Garganasalt, so it's like, yeah, if you bring any status into the game, or if your team is status and tank heavy because that is optimal Pokemon, you're having a very bad time, but everyone's kind of running that. We kind of saw this happen with Pokemon Sword and Shield. Season 2, Season 3 started becoming double anti-tank setup. People in the battle spot were running 2 taunts, Whirlwind, Haze. Some people had 3, like, had an anti-tank setup on every Pokemon. You know, taunt here, a Haze there, a roar here, a roar elsewhere, and it's like, that's 3 of your Pokemon. And it's all dedicated to setting up, like, to shut down some kind of setup, because setup was so good, even with Dynamax pumping power into the game, even with Terra pumping power into the game, you can't reliably run over the Gholdengo before it sets up on, or just outright runs you over. Which means, damage calculations. People leave at this part of the video. You don't want to. It's scary. So, Gholdengo just coming in, +0, can either make it rain on a Blissey, you know, it's not like the most insane stuff, but like, this is Blissey. And it can also nasty plot against the Blissey, and if the Blissey doesn't have Flamethrower, that Blissey is losing. Now, Blissey Flamethrower gets awkward, because nasty plot into a weakness policy, and then Gholdengo has like very scary, Focus Blast damage. Or when you start getting to the point where you're outspeeding and two-shotting a Blissey, now the Blissey is falling behind on soft boiled. It's not able to like get that damage back in. It's not able to deal with this threat, especially because, all right, make it rain. That's 63 to 57 -1. Hey, it's still a KO. So like, these stats would only be acceptable on a Pokemon with like 5 base speed, to where everything in the game is faster than it. But no, it's the other way around. We have the fattest anti-tank, anti-setup, anti-status, anti-everything Pokemon that can hurt a Blissey enough, or at least, like, you know, it softens up the Blissey to where even if Blissey trades the Gholdengo, Blissey's too weak to survive another special attacker, or you just have to sack it to a physical more than usual. There's no way of Blissey to, like, hard hold down a game, and because of Pokemon like Breloom and Skarmory not existing, I mean, I guess we do have, like, Corviknight, which is a better Skarmory, but, like, Corviknight has its own vulnerabilities. Like, you don't Skarm Bliss this out. You don't go all physical tank, all special tank, when Gholdengo just loves both, like, eating both of those tanks, and then tank busters like Breloom are not threatened because there's not sweepers in the meta. So if Blissey has any kind of status moves, it's over. You can't Seismic Toss because Ghost-type Pokemon. On the Gholdengo, if Blissey goes for setup, you get subbed on. Like, and again, like, if you're not running Flamethrower, we're back to, like, Ferrothorn days. This is the new Ferrothorn that can't be statused and one-shots your team. Some other things kind of make it weird, because, yeah, I'm talking about these Blissey plus a physical Pokemon core. Well, if Blissey isn't feeling good against the Gholdengo, which is a special attacker, then other physical Pokemon are going to have a problem. If you don't Terrasilize off the rock, your Garganasalt can't do anything about it. So that means you already have to be in, so you can't just, like, switch into a Make It Rain. Like, you can switch into a Shadow Ball and play shenanigans, but switching against a Gholdengo, if you get predicted and subbed or nasty plotted against, that's just game anyways. So, and then, like, what is Garganasalt going to do? It can sprinkle some salt on it. It can make Gholdengo hurt over time, but Gholdengo gets to do something in that time, and it's going to be a one-shot or setup or something weird, and also Gholdengo just outspeeds you. So Gholdengo always has the luxury of outspeeding you, setting up a sub, and then you can't do anything. So it's like, you have to catch Gholdengo switching in onto your Garganasalt, and you have to catch it with Salt Cure at that moment, and then you need a Pokemon to switch out into one of the hardest-hitting special attack Pokemon when it's threatening a setup. And it's one of those things where, like, we've seen 133 special attack Pokemon before. We have seen 130 attack. We've seen higher 140 attack Pokemon. We've seen Megas. And the damage doesn't, like, come through that crazy, but it's really just the not being able to be statused, and then the ability to nasty plot and one-shot pretty much anything. Like, the Make It Rain, just outright modest, no other items. What? It's doing 70% to a Silvally? Like, what I'm looking at doesn't feel real. The stab knockoff from a dark-type sweeping Pokemon doesn't just KO the Gholdengo, and Gholdengo gets to KO it in return. So, I mean, if, like, that's the fastest threat on the opponent's team, Gholdengo can just switch out and come back in on, like, a weird time, or just gets to use a -1 Make It Rain, which still does a lot of damage. And if you're not sweeping it with something that, like, if you don't hit it with a super effective move, it doesn't matter. Game's over. That's the problem. Like, Gholdengo needs to eat a super effective move, or else it's just doing too much, and there's nothing that can be done to it in return. It's silly, it's taking over the game, it's warping the meta, and we're just gonna have to see how it develops. But yeah, like, that's what this boy is up to. And it's making Pokemon feel like the worst meta we've ever seen. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.